The number of COVID-19 cases continues to rise globally and right here in Guyana. Therefore, we encourage everyone to practice social distancing. Wear a mask if you have to leave your homes and wash your hands thoroughly and frequently as we all strive to stop the spread of the virus. Welcome to Info Hub for Friday, May 29. Thanks for joining us. The Brimo region in Guyana's northwestern part is at greater risk of positive COVID-19 cases being imported through the porous border with Venezuela. Here's the first story.
As of May 28, 2020, the World Health Organization reported that Venezuela has a total of 1,245 positive COVID-19 cases. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Shamdeo Prasad, who provided Thursday's COVID-19 update, appealed to residents of Region 1 to be vigilant and help to ensure that unofficial crossings are stopped.
Residents of Region 1, and particularly our miners, I plead with you to take extra care and adhere to the guidelines for mining in order to protect your family and your friends. Please report if you have information on non-nationals entering your region, especially now that the borders are closed. The non-official crossings are adding to the burden of surveillance.
Regional Health Officer Dr. Stephen Shifoon explained that several unofficial crossing points have been identified and screening points for COVID-19 have been set up in these areas. Meanwhile, the region is engaged in efforts aimed at preventing an increase in COVID-19 transmission.
All wet markets throughout Mabaruma and Matakai, and I am advised that in Maruka also, these wet markets are sanitized. We've also begun the sanitation exercise at schools and all public buildings. This is to ensure that you are safe at all times. We ask that everybody adhere to the guidelines set out by the Ministry of Public Health and the National COVID Task Force, because you staying safe is ensuring that the entire community stays safe.
The region has recorded 3 confirmed cases of the novel coronavirus. Of these cases, 1 person has recovered, 1 succumbed to the disease, and the other is currently in institutional isolation. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
The request for additional workstations to hasten the national recount has not been granted by the National COVID-19 Task Force in light of safety concerns amidst the coronavirus pandemic. Isaiah Braffett has more.
The request was denied after it was made by Chairperson of the Guyana Elections Commission, Justice Retired Claudette Singh, to the National COVID-19 Task Force, NCTF, which is advised by the Health Emergency Operations Center, HEOC. Coordinator of the HEOC, Dr. Colin James, in a letter to the chairperson, said that despite being mindful of the nature and scope of activities being undertaken by GCOM, the task force has decided that public safety and wellness remains the primary focus. It was highlighted that a review of the 2 reports compiled following visits to the Otter Junk Conference Center on April 21 and May 15 also led to the decision. The letter also noted that on one of the visits to the ACCC, recommendations by the task force were not being adhered to, which increases the risk of the virus being transmitted. In the letter, Dr. James stated that the task force has determined that it cannot concede to the request for the installation and operation of additional workstations and increase the number of persons in the ACCC during the period of the recount. As of May 28, Guyana recorded 150 cases of the coronavirus. That is inclusive of 11 deaths and 67 recoveries. Already, the task force had given the go-ahead for 2 additional workstations to be established, which now takes the number of workstations to 12 compared to the 10 the recount initially began with. The recount of regions 1, 2, 3, and 5 are completed, which leaves regions 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 to be finalized. As of Thursday, May 28, a total of 1,473 ballot boxes were completed, with 866 remaining. Isaiah Braffett for InfoHub.
Meanwhile, the Guyana Elections Commission is hoping to conclude the national recount of votes cast at the March 2, 2020 general elections within another 2 weeks, with June 13 as the projected date.
While the actual recount will conclude in another 2 weeks' time, GCOM Commissioner Vincent Alexander said the process will only be fully completed after a thorough examination of the report by the Chief Elections Officer. While a section of the Commission is hoping for a final declaration after the recount, Alexander said that a detailed consideration will have to be given to the host of issues contained in the observation report.
Those reports have a plethora of issues that we have to categorize and to deal with. We have to deal with issues of the stubs that are found in a particular ballot box, not corresponding with the number of ballots. That's a reality. We have to deal with issues where significant numbers of ballots found themselves unstamped with a 6-digit stamp. Now, in a sense, we took a position on the matter, but you have situations where in a box, half of the ballots representing probably the general election are stamped, and the other half are not stamped.
Upon completion of the process, Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield will be required to present a report comprising the tabulation of the figures as well as the observation reports to the 7-member commission. The commission met on Thursday to review the National Recount Order, which was gazetted 2 days before the start of the recount process. The review was mainly to consider an extension of the 25-day timeline for the process. Alexander said, however, that attempts were made by some commissioners to interject other issues in the review.
We are going to have, in addition to 10 tabulations, which have to be brought together into one tabulation, we're going to have 10 observation reports. And those 10 observation reports have got to be discussed. And it takes time. If you see what has been coming up in terms of the volume of information in those reports, it will take time. And what people are attempting to do is to get us to write into the order a conclusion date that will obviously interfere with a thorough and conclusive discussion of what's in the observation reports.
Contained in the observation reports are objections of out-of-jurisdiction voting, the names of deceased persons being used to cast ballots, more ballots over voters, unstamped ballots, and missing poll books, among other irregularities. For InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
The Hydromet Department of the Agriculture Ministry has reported that heavy and continuous rainfall is anticipated over the next 12 to 36 hours over Guyana. The department's advisory states that there will be mostly cloudy to overcast skies throughout the country, with coastal and inland areas experiencing continuous to moderate and heavy showers. There will be a period of continuous rain and isolated thunder showers over some inland areas. Periodic high-intensity rainfall is anticipated in areas of regions 2 to 6 and 10. The department notes that these forecast conditions will likely lead to flooding in low-lying areas and possible landslides in hilly terrain. Residents are advised to remain alert and exercise all precautionary measures as the department continues to monitor the weather. Stay with us. More news is after the break.
This is Jamaica with a message from my people. We don't know when COVID-19 will go, so for now better stay at home. Oh, we don't know, so let we try and cope. Sanitize or use a soap. Oh, I won't stop, and don't you stop. Responsibility is what you've got to self-preserve the health you've got. Good hygiene we need to all adopt. I won't stop, don't you stop. Stay away from crowds cause it's way too packed. We all should stay 3 feet away, and in time we make this fire stop. This is a message from Tamika Marshall and the Ministry of Public Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO.
Welcome back. Young people are being encouraged to utilize their time at home to acquire knowledge via the internet or by reading books to not only get them through this challenging time, but also to prepare them for life post-COVID-19. Neola Damon has the details.
This view was shared by columnist and senior education and training officer attached to the Office of the Presidential Advisor on Youth Empowerment, Ronald Austin Jr., on Wednesday. Austin, along with CEO of Professional Development Enterprise, Ronald Donis, and Executive Director of STEM Guyana, Karen Abrams, were panelists on a youth forum focusing on leadership and life skills broadcast on the National Communication Network, NCN. Austin noted that the youths who have completed their empowerment training programs will possess, among other leadership characteristics, 4 key qualities that will see them through this challenging period.
Resilience. And resilience is really the capacity to recover quickly from challenges, from very difficult times. And if you're going to stake any claim to leadership at any level, in any context, then you've got to exhibit signs of being resilient, not just in terms of physical resilience and resilience to deal with your limited resources, but that mental resilience, because if you are not strong mentally, you will not be able to lead others. And it's important, Andrea, that when we think of youth leadership in the context of Guyana, we've got to think of the various circumstances. You're talking about 10 different regions, different youths at different levels, whether you're talking about the hinterland, whether you're talking about the riverine areas, you're talking about urban centers, you're talking about the various economic brackets of youth leaders. Everybody's going to be challenged, but obviously, those who are not strong enough to deal with this circumstance will find it extremely difficult. Another important characteristic that I think young people who pass through our program will have to definitely hold on to in these very difficult times is that you've got to have empathy. If you find yourself in any circumstance occupying a position of leadership, then you've got to have that basic human instinct to care for the person next to you. And you've got to show people that you care. You can't walk around or you can't flaunt as if, nothing is happening. You've got to let people know that you understand what they're going through. Another very important characteristic at this time is for you to have integrity. Whether you're on social media or you're communicating informally, you've got to be responsible. You've got to do not share fake news. Do not engage in conspiracy theories. Follow the science, follow the data. Advise people properly in your social media page when you're in contact with other young people. Look at what the experts are saying. Encourage good behavior. Wear a mask, wash your hands. So that will keep your integrity, because remember, during these very challenging times, Andrea, those who possess leadership qualities, or those who are leaders, they can lose their integrity in these times. So it's important that you hold on to that and never lose sight of that. And finally, it's important that you have vision. And this is something we would emphasize during our programs. Even though things are bad and we know the times are looking extremely dark, there are going to be opportunities.
Meanwhile, Abrams underscored the fact that Guyanese youths are valuable resources to be molded to contribute to the efficient development of the country and must be given the necessary tools to be successful. First part, Dunnans reminded the youths that opportunities do exist, and should they be unable to find them, then they should create them.
You may be able to do planting, you may be able to help with deliveries, go and help with the older person who is not getting their yard weeded or something. Look for things to do. Yes, technology is valuable, it's the way of the future, but there are also, you can't do the yard with technology. Go and weed someone's yard, make a phone call to somebody, ask questions. If you don't have the internet to go on Google, ask questions.
There will be another program on good health and well-being on Saturday, May 30th, to be aired on NCN. Then on June 3rd, there will be another panel discussion on entrepreneurship and employment. Neola Damon, InfoHub.
Post-COVID, many sectors will have to review and retool their health and safety guidelines Chief among them is the hospitality industry, as pointed out by Director General of the Department of Tourism, Donald Sinclair.
I think it's a recognition by the industry globally that the tourism of the future, the tourism that is post-COVID, is going to be very different from the tourism pre-COVID, because the visitor will have as one of his or her highest priorities safety.
That was the Director General of the Department of Tourism speaking to InfoHub. He also noted that establishment owners and operators must expect visitors to have a number of concerns answered before they embark on a trip.
The question the visitor will be asking is this destination safe? Am I likely to become infected? Are there protocols, are there measures in place to keep me safe, as well as to keep the members of the host population safe?
The Director General assured that the safety of visitors will be the highest priority, with stringent measures in place, ensuring persons working in the hotel industry apply and follow the required health guideline.
There will be protocols to observe during flying. Some measures speak to testing before boarding an aircraft, wearing of masks on the aircraft, the removal of the third seat on the aircraft as a means of guaranteeing physical distance. Away from the aircraft, there is the airport, and we expect that there will be a new modus operandi at airports in terms of lessening the amount of touching that is usually done. Physical distance, of course, there's sanitizing of luggage, sanitizing of documents, the wearing of protective gear by those who have to interact with the visitors. Then leaving the airport, of course, we have the transportation services and the protocols that apply there in terms of sanitizing the vehicles. Some say even testing the people who enter or screening the persons who enter buses and cars and so on, then to places of stay, whether it's a hotel, a guest house, or a resort.
Sinclair assured that the measures to be implemented post-COVID will be far-reaching and comprehensive. For InfoHub, Ayana George.
Remember to do your part to ensure that you do not put yourself at risk during this time. If you have a cough, fever, or difficulty breathing, please seek medical care early, but call the hotline first. That's all for today. Connect with us on our social media platforms, including WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, as we bring you the latest and important news related to COVID-19 and much more. Or you can also subscribe to our website, dpi.gov.gy. Your Bridge Report is up next. Have a safe weekend. Goodbye for now.